Hello friend, RG12 here again. I'm sat in the garden again today because it's another nice day, fresh. Just been out for a walk with Rocky. He's come out in the garden a minute to see what's going on. There he is, look. Good lad. It's a run up to Armistice Day, Remembrance Sunday as they call it in the UK. And I thought it'd be only fitting for the run up to Remembrance Sunday is talk about and read some excerpts from my books, my life story as a soldier. I just want to start off by talking about, which brings me on to the religious side of it, which recently it's become a lot stronger. My mother was a very, very deeply religious woman. She was an Irish Catholic. I never ever heard her swear. She certainly never ever got drunk, unlike my dad. She had the odd glass of sherry at Christmas, special events, and that was it. Even though she's been dead for a long time, I still miss her, which is natural. When I was a young man, 19 years of age, fighting in the Falklands War, 8,000 miles away from home, she went to church, I believe, nearly every day, lit a candle for me and prayed for my safe return. She also gave me what is known as a Miraculous Medal with the Virgin Mary on it. That's the reverse of it. I've still got it. Cherish it. Why it's so important to me is on the day of the horrific attack on the Royal Fleet Auxiliary Troop ships, Sir Galahad and Sir Tristram, I was on board, still on board the Durant, waiting to get off. It was broad daylight. I was panicking. I just knew something bad was going to happen. I could feel it, and I was on Stag with the cargo nets, with all our equipment, waiting to get off, waiting for the choppers to come and take us. And I remembered about the Miraculous Medal. I looked in my combat jacket pocket, and with horror, I thought, it's not there. So I had to go and frantically dig through the cargo net, like I think I mentioned in my book, like a demented crab, till I found it in the other jacket. And it's at times like that where people aren't religious, and then suddenly they find religion because they think this could be the end for them. And that's what I was thinking. And because I'm sat here talking to you, I got off and I survived, physically survived the attack and the war in the army, but not mentally. And not a day goes by where I don't think about the events of that day and how I blame myself for all of the deaths of them men. It was a lot of pressure for a young teenage soldier to bear, when realistically it wasn't my fault, it was the equipment's fault. But that's what was brought on the onset of post-traumatic stress disorder. So it was fantastic when I first wrote my first book, and one of them soldiers that was on board that ship that day, it was horrifically burned. One of the most seriously injured soldiers of any conflict, really. Simon Weston, Welsh Guards. he was kind enough to write a foreword, and it meant the world to me what he said, his words. I'll just read it to you now. What happened to the Sir Galahad on June the 8th, 1982 was obviously a great tragedy, as any death is. So many of my mates lost their lives, others were badly injured, and many more suffered terribly in the years afterwards. Feelings of guilt, anger, and even shame were common. This terrible thing had happened, and they had been powerless to prevent it. Many felt impotent, emasculated, almost by their failure to stop the attack. Tony McNally was one of those guys. His injuries weren't visible, but that doesn't mean they weren't there. His PTSD is as real as any other injury, and it's a sign that he's a human being, a normal guy who witnessed events which were quite out of the ordinary and was damaged by that. He wasn't alone. A large number of the guys on board the ship suffered in exactly the same way. When I was approached to see if I'd be interested in writing a foreword to Tony's book, I agreed immediately. I wanted Tony to know that, however bad he feels about the tragedy, I don't hold him or any of the other rapier guys responsible. None of the other guardsmen who were aboard the ship do either, to my knowledge. I know Tony and all the other lads would have done everything and anything in their power to help us. Unfortunately, their equipment let them down. It's a common problem with the British Army. The only lesson we seem to learn from history is how to repeat it. Tony doesn't need to feel guilt anymore, or shame, or carry that awful burden around any longer. I wish him all the best in the world. Simon Weston, Cardiff, March 2007. His words have gone some way to healing me. It's a long process, but I know now it wasn't my fault. When you witness it, events such as that to a young man, a young mind, you never ever will forget it. One of the lads on my rapier paid the ultimate price in the end through his PTSD. He's a victim of the war, even though he didn't die in the Falklands. He died at home through PTSD and the trauma of war. God rest you, Mickey Quinn. So, as it moves along to Armistice Day, I'll read a chapter and upload it for those of you that are interested. I'll put a description in the links in the description, sorry. People that might not be familiar with Simon Weston, look him up, see what he went through. We will remember them. RG12 out.